Now that I have created and issued my main room schedule showing the areas and the area comparisons, I now need to start adding room finishes information to my model. If I go to my ground floor plan and I zoom into a room, you'll see that I have under identity data parameters for base finish, ceiling finish, wall finish and floor finish. So I need to start populating this information. Now I can select each room individually and type in the information in here. So say timber as an example. However, that would mean I would have to go and select every single room and do it like this manually. Just undo that. The other alternative is that I can complete stuff using a schedule. So I can create a new schedule. So go to the View tab, Schedules, Schedule and Quantities. Scroll down to select Rooms, and I'm going to call this Room Finishes Schedule. Remember to move the 2. Click OK. So now I can add the name, and I can add the base finish, the floor finish, ceiling finish, and the wall finish. I can sort it just by the name, and I can tick itemize every instance. So now we have a lot of data to fill in. So I could manually type in this information. So under the base finish, or as we'll often use it for the skirting finish, I could type in hardwood. And then for the next room I could also type in hardwood, and the drop down gives me previously entered information for that parameter. However, this is very tedious and long-winded, and there is a more efficient way of doing this. I'm just going to delete this information here. I've been given by the client a selection of room finish templates, effectively, that I can then that apply to all of these specific rooms. So I can go to View, Schedules, Schedule and Quantities. I can go to Rooms, and instead of creating a building components schedule that schedules all the actual elements, I can create what's called a schedule key. I'll explain what that is in when we create the schedule, but I'm going to call the key, which is effectively a new parameter, room finishes style, and I'm going to call the schedule room finishes style schedule. Click OK. So as part of this individual parameter we can choose, which is the key, I can add in other parameters. So I'm going to add in the base, ceiling, floor and wall finish. So I'm not going to do any sorting, formatting or changing the appearance. So I can click OK. So there's nothing in this schedule. So what I can do is I can insert a data row. So this has a key name called number 1. So I'm going to call this room style 1. And I know that because I've been given by the client, room style 1 has a base finish of a hardwood flooring, has a ceiling finish of suspended ceiling panels, has a floor finish of vinyl flooring, and a wall finish of plasterboard with paint. So now I've got one of these keys entered. If I go to my ground floor plan and I click on the room, you can see that there is this room finishes style key, and if I click on this drop down, you can see that it's now got available this room style 1 key. If I click on the room style, it automatically fills in the base finish, the ceiling finish, the wall finish and the floor finish, because these are specified and fixed within the room finishes style schedule. So this allows a quick way. So if I go back to the room finishes schedule, This is then a quick way of being able to, if I scroll down to find the lounge room, of being able to specify the finishes for the rooms. So I'm going to go back to my room finishes style schedule, and I'm just going to create the rest of my styles. I've now finished my key schedule, and I've also added in a bit of a description about the room style. So what I can now do is I can go back to my room finishes schedule. I can add in the room finishes style parameter, send this to the top. What I can do, if I want to move this to the top the entire way, just below name, I can select base, hold shift, select wall, and I can drag and I can move these parameters down one. Because it moves all of them down, it then moves the room finishes style to the second position. So that's just a quick way of rearranging the schedule. I click OK, so you can see how the room finishes style is currently set to none. I can then click on the drop down and type in administration, so I can type office as an admin, and you can see how it automatically fills in this information in here. Like so. I'll make the schedule a bit wider. So this allows me to fill in the information a lot quicker. What I can also do is, because my naming is quite consistent, what I can actually do to make this process even quicker is go on sorting and grouping. I've sorted it by the name, but if I untick itemize every instance, that will group all of these similar names into one row, as described in previous lectures. So I can click OK. You can see that because the administration has got some rooms that have had the room finishes style complete, it is blank, so I can just click on administration, click on the drop down, type in offices and admin. If I know that advisors is also admin, I can actually search the word admin and it will search. So I could type in style 1 and it will filter that schedule. I could type in offices and it would also filter. So you can start to type in the key schedule and it will automatically filter the drop down list. So I can then go in and quickly fill in all this information like so. So I will go ahead and do that now. This is now all being completed. Now the benefit of using key schedules as well is that if one of these styles were to change, so for example if I go back to the room finishes style schedule and say the wall finish for circulation was to become paint on blockwork or concrete, by changing it in this key for room style 3 here, if I go back to my room finishes schedule, wherever room style 3 was used, so for the corridor, it's now updated the values for all of those rooms. So you can see for this lobby here and for the vestibule down here. So this allows for quick changing of the values and also for ensuring that you only pick a correct value from the potential options. Another thing to note is because in the sorting and grouping I had itemize every instance unticked, if I now tick this and click OK, you'll see that every single room in the project has been given the room style designated for that name. That's because when I untick itemize every instance, because it's sorted by name, it groups all of the cafeteria rooms into one line, and if I type in the room style into this one line, it effectively populates every single room that is the cafeteria name. So that's another quick way of batch filling information using schedules. You can change them in the key as well in a floor plan view by selecting the room and then clicking on the drop down for the room style as indicated before. If I go back to the room finishes style schedule, one thing to note is that you cannot add shared parameters to a key schedule. You can only add project parameters or the Revit inbuilt parameters. If I were to add a new parameter, you can see that I cannot add a share parameter. So if you need a piece of information to be tagged on a drawing, you have to use one of the built-in Revit parameters. These two here that we added in earlier are project parameters and not share parameters. If they were share parameters, they wouldn't be visible in this available fields. Just something to note when it comes to key schedules. You can use key schedules for many things, such as door, hardware, and ironmongery. You can use them on many different types of schedules. My room finishes schedule, I could effectively call this a working schedule because I can just remove the finishes style from this schedule. So this is the schedule that I could place on my sheet. Obviously I would need to change the sorting back to itemize every instance, and I might want to put the number in and sort it by number, then by name. Obviously I haven't used the combined parameter that I used in previous lectures. And then you could duplicate this schedule and call this one, right click, rename, call it work in progress or WIP, and then you could just remove these fields and just add the room finishes style to this schedule. And here is where you could change the information and it will update on the room finishes schedule which has been placed on the sheet.